Well, I was doing a wedding video for my sister, and after getting that all cleared away and everything, my mom was just all like, whoa, wedding videos, you should do this for a living, you should make money, this and that, and she kept telling everybody and anybody who was anybody that this was what was happening, and this was the new thing, wedding videos.
It was just on the fringes of my last movie, going to a film festival, and it got honored there, and so news was getting out through the family that that this had happened, and so my cousin called and said that her son was very interested in doing the same thing, and he had actually purchased a new camera, and he was looking to do this sort of work, and so I got on the phone with him within about a week.
And he had this movie that he was making, and it seemed rather intriguing. The whole concept was just all backwards and twisted and whoa, and I thought, hey, this would be something interesting, not just documenting something, but actually creating something. I'd have the ability to maybe just, work something around. So I got sort of hired on as a camera operator or cinematographer, if you will.
He showed me some of the short stuff that he had shot with his sister, and so I determined that why not let somebody else direct for once and just see what it's like to produce something.
And I had some ideas about certain things, and next thing you know, I'm the director. It was more of a giving a young person an opportunity to do something he's always wanted to do, sort of thing, and apparently that worked out for the better part.
Most of the people I've ever cast for anything I've done have just been people I've happened upon at a time when I'm starting to work on something, and then that little light bulb just clicks on. It's like, hey, that's that character, and so I walk up to them and blindside them and say, hey, you want to be in a movie? Sometimes they're like, oh, but usually it turns out really well, because I think when you're working with volunteers. One of the important things is to try to find somebody, not necessarily who can transfer themselves into another person. That would be like a hired actor in Hollywood. But when you're going to work with a volunteer, it's important to find somebody who already has generally those qualities that you want that character to have to start with, and then it just takes a little bit of honing in on them, and coaching to help them to bring out exactly what you want. Micah was one of my video students, and he was actually the best one that I've had to date, and as he was excelling technically like a lot of other students, he also was a very good actor, and he starred in a lot of his own videos, a lot of other people's videos.
Some friends of ours would just write some films and have all kinds of different ideas, and then look at each other and say, oh boy, now how do we do it, and I always got the lot of, well, you look better than we do, you jump in front of the camera kind of thing. So it's like, oh gee, thanks.
Why won't you let her live? Let her live. No. Every moment you're lying here alive is a moment I die.
He wound up doing a lot of dramatic style roles. He knew how to cry and get hurt very well.
I've done like 5 videos now that I've just cried or tossed a bottle over a cliff or tossed myself almost over a cliff or something like that. As
I was writing the script, I hadn't really had a particular person in mind for the part, but as I watched some of the stuff that he was doing, I realized that he would do a very good job of this, and I think that was probably a big understatement.
When Walter came to me and offered the role, it was kind of like a real, I would say a dream come true, just to jump in front of the screen and to really take a full quality role and a real challenge, and I loved it.
When you watch the footage and realize he only gets to say maybe 2 sentences in the whole movie, everything that he had to convey had to be through his expressions, his facial expressions, the way that his mannerisms, the way his body moved. And he just had such a distinctly talented way of conveying, letting the audience know exactly how he was feeling, even though he couldn't say anything. I couldn't have found anybody better. I absolutely could not have found anybody better for the part.
It was an awesome opportunity, and it really was the first, I can honestly say, the first the closest to professional acting I ever did.
There were two girls who were in my high school at the time when I was teaching video production, and they weren't in my class, but because we had the equipment, they liked to come in and use it to make projects for their world history class. And they would come in and do like this thing on Egyptian queens, where they dressed up like queens and they acted things out, you know. And one, I think they did a world history fashion show where they were like taking different time periods and putting on clothing and stuff. And they were so funny and they played off of each other so well. And I knew that the blind girl was going to need to have some sort of friend to, you know, help her interact in the script. And so I just basically wrote the part for these two girls. And so when it came time to actually shoot it, it made sense to me that they'd already shown that they were animated, that they were talented actresses in their own right. So I cast them. After people are done watching the movie, many times they walk up to me and say, "Now, was that girl really blind?" And I tell them no, and they're flabbergasted because they can't believe that she's not, because of how well she did. And I think to start with, it's just because of how, you know, distant her eyes look. And I think she just has this natural beauty to her eyes, and it's one of the things that drew me to her as a character, because when I was writing Lenora, I really wanted it to be sad that she has no use of these eyes, and yet they're such beautiful eyes. And I really feel that LaTanya did a good job of not connecting with her environment, but really staring off, you know, and pulling off the idea that she doesn't seem to know what's around her visually. And I really think she did a really great job with that. Sarah is just so funny. She always came across as the really overly lively one, the comic relief in the situation. And she was that way in real life as well in class. She just always had the right funny thing to say. And I really think that as I was writing the script, it helped to know her, to be able to write the lines for this character, Rebecca. And so she just embodied that character so well. She when I asked her to play the role, she just fit in like hand in glove.
It was lighthearted. I mean, all of the extras were people I went to school with, so we like played around and stuff. And LaTanya and I were best friends anyway, so we just like talked in between takes, and it was just fun. It was like hanging out. My favorite scene, it would have to be the one in the bedroom where we're like on the phone, or Jeremy calls for the first time, and I'm like running around trying to get the phone. I fall off the bed, and I don't know. That was really fun to shoot.
I think she's one of the characters that the audience most enjoys. She's not on the screen nearly as much as some of the other ones, but when she's on, she definitely makes her presence known and she makes people laugh. Donna, who played Jeremy's mother, was the school secretary at the time, and she was also the mother of one of my video students, and so I knew her very well. And when I was looking for somebody to play the role of the mother, I was looking for somebody who could embrace the wide range of emotions that she was going to have to express, because she was at her wit's end in this film. She's going to be frustrated, she's going to cry, she's going to get angry.
You can hate me for whatever I did to you before, but don't you dare hate me for loving him, because you have no right.
Donna had such a lively personality that I knew it wouldn't be very difficult to bring out of her the types of emotions that this character needed.
Are you not even looking at me? Aren't you supposed to?
No, the camera's not on me.
Yeah, but I'm trying to talk to you.
At least look at her.
I guess what really helped was the fact that at the time we were shooting this, her firstborn son had just gone off to college, and she was feeling that empty nest syndrome, and which is exactly what this mother is going through. It's the first time that she's ever been without Jeremy in the film. He's going to be living at this boarding school, and I know that she really pulled in on those emotions that she was actually, you know, experiencing, and you can see that come out on the set, especially when she's about to leave Jeremy in the dorm room, you know, and she just up and cries, and that's not a very easy thing for any actor to do, really. That's probably one of the most challenging emotions to truly convey, you know. But she really dug deep inside what she was experiencing and pulled that out for us. One of the first things that Scott showed me when I was watching the stuff that he had made was a video with his sister. And she wore various costumes or outfits and just was real animated and was really interesting, really intriguing. And I was really drawn to her through the video. And I decided to approach her about actually playing the role of the speech therapist.
I was really excited. I think after having the chance to work with my brother in that little music video bit we did, it was a lot of fun. So the chance to learn a script and be part of presenting a story, and what a really neat story that just was really, I was honored, you know.
She had the most difficult lines to do in American Sign Language, and you have to understand that everybody but one person in this entire film had never done American Sign Language prior to this.
Yeah, there was a scene that just ran for quite a while without any cuts, and for speaking part by itself could be a challenge, but I was thinking pretty darn hard there, getting those words to come out with my hands simultaneously, you know.
We actually had somebody who specialized in this read the script on videotape for us and do all the signs, and then we made a DVD of that and passed that out to the characters. She had to learn the most American Sign Language and the longest lines, because she didn't get to banter back and forth as much with Jeremy as other characters did. She had long speeches to give to him, and so it took a very long time to shoot some of these scenes, but she was very tenacious. She hung in there and did an excellent job.
I think it went well, and it was something neat to learn. And after my daughter saw the movie, she has taken up the alphabet, so she's starting with just the basic, so she can sign the alphabet. I thought this is actually something neat to just learn in general. It's fascinating.
When I first met Brianna Brown, she was my video student, and she did a video where she was singing and walking around, but she was so expressive with her hands, and it just was really intriguing to me. And I learned after the fact that she actually knows American Sign Language, and that she naturally, when she says things, her hands tend to just move in the ways that she's used to communicating in sign language. We cast her to play the deaf interpreter for church because that's something she actually does in real life. And she was such a blessing to have on the set, because not only did she just take her character and just run with it, but she was a huge help to us with the other characters as well. She donated her time and assisted them in working through the lines when they were getting ready to shoot.
She knows what she's doing. She doesn't need any coaching. She doesn't need any additional assistance. And I'm having to work across from that, and I don't know a thing about sign language. I mean, that was more of a challenge to me. I enjoyed that. And keeping, the real emotion of the scene and everything.
We actually started shooting the movie in 2004, and we had plans of having it done shooting that summer, editing it that fall, and showing it that winter. So it was all supposed to happen in 2004. Well, here we are. It's 2009. And lots of things happened on the way to getting here. There were actually about 20 different scenes that we had originally written, and we were having difficulty setting up these shoots, and we would set them up and something would come up, and so we would never quite get it done. And then, because of my being a school teacher, whenever the school year started, that pretty much dominated my life at that point. And just one thing after another, it just set us back. And so at some point we just stopped and figured, well, we're never going to get this done.
Early on, after we had just shot it, I kind of wanted to see everything put together, obviously. So I was hoping to get everything done. I was hoping to get everything kind of pieced together, and it wasn't coming together. And so it kind of got a little disheartening at first, and so later on, when I got the phone call from Walter, and he went ahead and said, "Hey, this is going to get done." Like, no way, kind of thing. Sure it is, gotta feel, you know. And
I always wondered how it was going to turn out, and I don't know, I thought it turned out pretty good. I thought we did a good job, like, seemed really natural. I was really self-conscious, I think, about how it was going to turn out, if I was going to be any good.
It was really fun to see the others. I was just curious. If I had to pick a word, I was curious. It's all get out to see that movie. It was great.
With this thing, when I came back to it, when I finally saw it, when it was really done, I couldn't see it for what other people saw it for. I know that. So what they're seeing is something different. They're seeing what they think is supposed to happen. Because, of course, you're supposed to have every faith in the director. If you walk into a premiere and they're watching a movie, they're going to say, okay, this is what the guy intended us to see. Let's see what he's got. And that's what they're thinking. So, you know, I'm kind of down with it. It's fun to watch and everything. There are scenes where I'm just like, you know what, I can actually sit comfortably because I know people like this.
well, he did it. He pulled through, and it really, when I watched it, the energy, the synergy, the just overall the feel and the fluid connection that you did feel. It's like, wow, you know, he butchered it, and it worked. You know, it wasn't according to script, and it wasn't according to how we had shot it, but it worked, and I had no complaints.
I'm very glad that we got it done, and it was very rewarding. It's very rewarding to look at it now, and I have the general feeling that it was absolutely worth the wait and worth all the effort. I wanted there to be a lot of music in the film. When I was scoring it, I knew that there were places where if there wasn't anything being said, obviously in a film where there's not going to be a lot of spoken words because of the American Sign Language, people are going to need an out of sorts where they're actually hearing words. So I knew that there were going to need to be a lot of songs, actually songs with lyrics in the film. I was trying to write songs. It was getting down to the stick. It was January of 2009, and we were slated to show this in February. I realized that it was going to be nearly impossible for me to get this done. I had a buddy of mine who had loaned me one of his songs. He has a local band, and he had a song called "You Draw Me Like a Moth to the Flame," and I had already inserted that into the film with his permission. And in desperation, I went onto his MySpace and started listening to a lot of his other songs. And come to find out, he had songs entitled things like "Silence," talking about, would you hear me if I spoke? And it just seemed like everything that was written into these songs he had just recently recorded were just like they were written for the film. So I got on the phone with him immediately and asked him, hey, would you mind if I used these 5 other songs as well in the film? And he's like, absolutely. Absolutely. He was a godsend. And in the 11th hour, when we're just right down to the stick trying to get this done, he really provided a great sound for the film. And I really feel really conveyed the essence of what the story was trying to tell through the songs. And he didn't even write them specifically for them, but in a roundabout way, I really feel that he did. That God really provided him at just the right moment. And I'm really glad that he was able to play part in this project. Essentially, I think in this film, what I was trying to convey is that irregardless of the situation that you've been placed into or the disabilities that they particularly have, that they can overcome them, that there is actually good in life that they can enjoy.
If I could take anything from it, I would say nothing is truly impossible to anybody that's willing to believe and that's willing to really put the effort and the work toward it.
Just decide, I'm just going to be happy. And you can be, genuinely. You don't have to pretend that because you have a disability that your life is just totally miserable and for nothing when it actually can be an inspiration to those around you.
Really, love has no boundaries because, or you can find love anywhere, and it's a powerful thing. It's what Jesus taught when he was here. He taught us love always, love your neighbor as yourself, and it's that powerful that I mean, even people who have trouble communicating can find a way.
The difference between Lenora, the way Lenora was dealing with her blindness and the way that Jeremy was dealing with his deafness is that, you know, Lenora just learned how to live life, and she had friends, and she did everything that she could. She fell a lot. She falls twice in the film, but she's resilient. She gets back up and she keeps going. And Jeremy's been shying away for that for so long. He's afraid to embrace life. He's afraid of getting hurt again. But he learns through her and through the other people around him that, you know, he could still live a full life, you know, even in the midst of this disability, that he can accomplish so much more.
He had to break through all kinds of pains. He had to break through all kinds of struggles and past regrets and past hurts and failures to really have a success and to reach out to the one love that had never failed him. And it really, I think that's a good message to really pull away from.
What's important for me is when I'm doing something is that some truth about life, some truth about beauty in life does come out through the film, and that life is going to be full of hardships. And trust me, I know what hardships are. I've had plenty of them, and I have no problem putting that into the film and conveying that. But I think ultimately I would never want to leave an audience with the feeling that in some situations things just can't turn out right. Because I think, in all honesty, I think that's part of the human spirit, is that we are capable of achieving a lot of good in this world if we just try hard enough. If we that ultimately everything can and will turn out okay if we handle the situations that are thrown at us